This Friday, we will be covering the disappearance of Christi Nichols. She disappeared from Gothenburg, Nebraska, which I think is going to be our third disappearance from Nebraska, I think. Jason Jolkowski and Regina Marie Boss, I think, are the other two. She disappeared from Gothenburg, Nebraska, December 10th, 1987. It is an episode I'm calling Cycle of Abuse. And the guest for that episode I'm welcoming back to the program for the second time. Or she's going to be on. I'm welcoming back for the first time, but this will be her second appearance. Heather Grotman from the lostandfoundblogs.com website. She was on the program about a year and a half ago, October 2018. She was on for the Dale Kerstetter episode. Heather does great work, and I think all of you know that I like to give a shout out to people in the true crime community who I think are doing a great job, and she is certainly one of them. The other one, of course, would be Anthony from crimeblogger1983.blogspot.com. In fact, he has the record for being on the program the most, 3 times. Well, this is going to be Heather's second time, and Christi Nichols' disappearance is one she wrote about. And I had talked to Heather maybe 6 weeks ago, and I said, it's about time we have you on the program again. Any particular disappearance that you've written about recently that you'd like to talk about on the program? And she picked this one out, so that's what we'll be talking about. This is a disappearance that was featured also on Unsolved Mysteries in 1988, 1989, so not long after she disappeared. This is also a disappearance that lends itself to one particular scenario. This disappearance, I would say, plays out very much like, if you will remember, Rosemary Rapp's disappearance, in which her husband says the two of them went to bed, and the next morning he got up, she wasn't there, just took off. This is Christi's disappearance is a little bit like that, or a lot like that. However, there are some facts regarding the case that maybe just don't quite fit into that mold as easily. In fact, you might even say that they contradict the idea that her husband, Mark, murdered her, then got rid of her body. There are at least a couple things that we will present in the interview that might cause you to lean in a different direction. Heather will talk about how this disappearance affected her. She can remember watching the original Unsolved Mysteries episode regarding Christi and how she knew about it. She kind of tried to follow it if anything was going on, and then finally with her website, and she's written about quite a few disappearances on there now. She finally got to write about it. She, over the years, has been in contact with Christi's mother and some of Christi's other family members, who we will talk about in the episode. And she will give their impressions of what they think happened and everything that was going on in Christi's life before she disappeared. It's just, and the reason we're calling it Cycle of Abuse is because she was married to Mark Nichols, who there's no argument that he was abusive to her. And the big issue is that it seems other people knew and didn't do much about it. And it seemed that Christi was kind of in this alone. And so it wasn't just Mark that was spinning, this cycle of abuse, but there were other people who were allowing it to happen. This is going to be another disappearance where we will be talking about a crooked law enforcement officer. I'm not going to go as far as to say that he had anything to do with the disappearance, but you will hear in the interview how being that this chief of police was friends with Mark Nichols, this chief of police was putting pressure on Christi to not leave him, something that he should not have been doing. And he knew that Mark was an abusive husband. So you're going to hear about that in the interview as well. Of course, the tough part about this disappearance is that it's over 32 years old, and some of these people that we're going to be talking about are deceased. Let's see what. So that will be the disappearance for this Friday. Everything has already been recorded, so it's ready for Friday. And as you would expect, I'm going to write a blog about it, and it will be available on patreon.com/unfound podcast if you are a member.